This would have been the busiest month in 35 years for this local business. They had been preparing for 3 months, and then COVID lockdown happens. Joining me today to talk about this is Tess Collins, who is the owner of McGeary's Pub in Albany. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for asking me to.
So, Tess, are you scared about what's going on as a business?
I mean, I think we're all scared, and I'm always scared for different reasons. Like, I'm a worrier. Like, I worry about everybody. I worry about the community. I'm worried about people being isolated, being alone, not having access to things, and depression. Like, a lot of people have been very depressed. So I feel that we need to kind of be there for each other.
Now, Tess, you have been preparing for this month for 3 months. You put a lot into it, like inventory, insurance, and all of that. And then all of a sudden the lockdown just happens. How do you deal with it?
It's been very difficult because, we're getting information all the time. You don't know what the right information is. It's been difficult because we start ordering 3 months out, liquor, beer, because you don't want to have all that delivered. You get all your invoices at once. So we were trying to prepare. I mean, we start preparing for permits and things much sooner. So it would have been the busiest month in 35 years, and it would have gotten me out of like some financial problems that you acquire along the way. So we were actually looking forward to it. But we also had the basketball tournament. We had St. Patty's. There was an Irish play at Cap Rep that we were very excited about. Not only are we excited that we were going to have good customers, but they're the customers we want, we love, we laugh with. So they would have put us in a good mood. And the Palace had several shows. So we would have been, I had plans to do the new lighting outside.
Now, a lot of people think that restaurants are doing pretty well because they're open, because they were able to figure out ways to be creative and still keep it going. But a lot of people don't realize that takeout is actually more expensive for restaurants, and especially you guys in Albany, because of the ban that happened with certain products and you have to order X amount in special containers.
All true.
Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I'm at a point where I just don't want to lose money. I kept the business going to get through go through some of the product, because people asked me to, the customers, the neighbors, my staff. I really wanted to close when this, going through this, the governor was gracious enough to allow us to do growlers and beer and wine out of there. Some of the smaller places that aren't in, that are in a neighborhood that, are open less hours, they maybe make a little bit of a profit. But if we were a lot of us are just doing it to employ people, to do some projects, but I'm doing it basically for the community too.
And you're also participating in some nonprofit fundraisers. Is that correct?
Yes. It's just strange because, some of the restaurant people were all there's a group of us that are close and we're always helping each other out. Like Jason Pierce and Dominic have been doing the Feed Albany. It started off, feeding restaurant people, and a lot of these companies had extra product that they had to get rid of. And we had all this extra food in our businesses that was rotting, it was going to go bad. So I think that, they started this whole Feed Albany. I didn't, and then it got to be like a Meals on Wheels for them. And that was their focus, and they've helped, they've included me in that. They have extra product or whatever.
We were talking about this before, you and I, about this underground community in Albany that's always there to help whoever needs. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that part of the Feed the program?
Well, yeah, that's just my program every single day at McGeary's. I've been lucky enough to know people for who they are, not what they do for a living. Where I believe that a lot of business people or people have a mask and you never really get to know them. Where I feel honored to know, people in Albany since college years.
Everyone calls you their mom.
yeah, they call me Ma. That's usually when I'm nagging them about something. But I just feel lucky for that role. And now a lot of people's even grandchildren come to see me. But if I call someone and ask them for something, they'll do it. But I just feel that nobody knows this about us. I've had so many crises in the past 10 years, but when something happens, people in Albany are great. and you don't know what they're doing. You know, this whole thing is created. I mean, you know, from political people all the way down to the blue collar workers, to the kids in the neighborhood, even the kids that get into trouble, the bikers, they're amazing.
Tess, it's well known by many who know you that you are very passionate about helping first responders and military. How are you able to help them now during this lockdown?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows. Like some of them are quarantined. A lot of people are here from out of town. They don't even know anybody in Albany. I mean, you know, a lot of people are still in the hotels, or they're working in government, or they work in the governor's office, and you have Homeland Security. I mean, the federal building is still open, and these people are working, and a lot of them can't go home to their families because of their jobs, or they're quarantined from their family, and there's no place for them to eat. So I just try to be there for them, and they're there for me all year long. So it's not like I'm doing them a favor. They're like a big part of my life.
And are you open like you were, like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Well, we're open for breakfast today only because the customers are nagging me. That
They want you.
But my staff's the one that are making a lot of these decisions. My staff's like saying, you know, the customers want this and we want to do it. And I'm like, okay.
You mentioned that you closed for 2 days when the lockdown happened, right? And your staff was the one that they were the ones that were telling you, we have to open, we have to open.
Yes, my staff, it was almost like an intervention. I closed down because I thought we were all going to close down. And I thought that, you know, we were getting so much information, and people were, you know, making, you know, criticizing bars from restaurants for being open because that's their need. People only see the lens from what they need. Right. At the time I was overwhelmed, and I didn't want to put my staff in, you know, a situation, or I just didn't want to do anything wrong. So I closed, and the day before St. Patrick's Day, and I had like 500 dinners already cooked and thousands and thousands of dollars of food. And I gave, you know, food to my favorite cause, the Damien Center, who I love, and, you know, Ronald McDonald's house. And we just started sending food to people. And my staff asked me to open, and then I started getting phone calls from people saying, what are you doing? In a crisis, you're always there. Why are you not open? So I didn't think that there was a need, because I actually thought we were all going to be in mandatory 2-week quarantine, which I would have preferred for everything in New York State to lock down at that time, because there was too much information for bars and restaurants to try to do it right, but we didn't know what that right was.
Right, because everybody's saying something different.
Right, and what was, you know, legally what was, you know, good one day, the next day was not, and you just didn't know what to do. And, you know, I called them, I equally stalk everybody. I'll call the mayor's office. I'll call Dan McCoy's office, like, because, you know, the police came down and they even talked to me too. They're, you know, you just want to do the right thing.
Have you applied for the small business paycheck program?
And that was changing so much too. What a lot of people don't realize, they go like, oh, that money's going to be there. That they kept changing what the requirements are. I'm still actually sending them information on it. So that's a work in progress right now. So we have all these bills and we have no way to pay them right now.
And this is kind of a walk in the park for you, because you have gone through a lot. And
yes.
One of your businesses went up in flames before, and you had to start all over again. So in comparison to what you've gone through, you know, we don't know if the lockdown is going to continue until May or August. We have no idea. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I mean, that was like a horrible time in my life, because I couldn't really talk about how bad things were. You know, I lost my business. I still had loans. I wasn't able to work because when you're going through the insurance process, you can't do that. And I had a lot of other things, and I literally lost my entire life, work. And then I had to start from scratch. Now this is a walk in the park for me, because I'm going through it with the rest of the world.
Right.
I'm not alone. I'm not being, you know, harassed. I'm with, you know, I talk, you know, all the restaurant people and people in general. We get together, we talk, we help each other through things. You know, I have even people at the Chamber of Commerce have been really great about giving me information that I need.
Let's talk about all the restaurant people, because what might work for one restaurant may not work for the other. Can you talk about that from a business restaurant perspective?
Well, like I said to a lot of, like, when we're all talking, we're all talking each other off a ledge, because people do not realize how stressful this is, as a business owner. And a lot of people do not even understand how restaurants work and how the rules that we have from the state and everything else are completely different than what, people that go buy wine or beer deal with on a daily. So like, I'm older, my needs and what, if I get sick or whatever, I'm okay, but I don't have little kids running around the house. Right. And a lot of these business owners cannot open because they have children. They're not going to make enough money. And what they do, as a restaurant isn't feasible at this time. So they have to stay closed, and a lot of them are crying because they feel guilty or they feel like they can't do enough. If this happened in April, we'd all have enough money to sit back a little bit, do some projects inside, pay our bills, we'd be okay. But it happened at the worst possible time. I'm just thankful that I'm able to connect people together to help each other. People want to help. They just don't know who to trust, what to do. And they know that, there's a whole underground community in Albany that are helping each other. Like I had hundreds of dollars in toilet paper after, we had this,
and there was no toilet paper.
And so
everybody was looking for toilet paper.
I said to my customers, I'm the Oprah of Albany. You get toilet paper. You get toilet paper.
Oh, I like that one. The Oprah of Albany.
I was giving toilet paper to my neighbors, but I have a lot of elderly, I always wanted a neighborhood in downtown. Now we have it. And so, we've been giving each other toilet paper or olive oil, even the simplest thing that elderly people would go to the store for. I don't want them going to the store. We have things there that can help the community. We all are connectors and we all help each other. So like the Damien Center, is affiliated with so many different organizations, and we just call each other up. Do you know somebody that can do this? I mean, I'm so thankful that I have people baking and dropping me off cookies. And I know that people are working overnights somewhere, and their families are quarantined. And so people can't come to work, and they're short 13, 14 people in an office. They're depressed. They're quarantined from their family. We might drop off cookies.
Baked goods always help people.
But it's about the fact that my friend Nancy Clubber makes cookies every week, or blueberry muffins or whatever. And it's the fact that somebody cares. I think it's more about the fact that somebody actually took time out of their day and cares.
Now, you get people call you in every time of the day, like anytime, midnight, whatever.
They can call me whenever they want.
What are you seeing? Like, is it the reality of like what we hear on the news? Like, is it that bad? Like what you're seeing down there in downtown, and with the police, with the firemen, with, all that's going on? Is it that bad?
I think that cops and firemen and military guys are so used to things being bad or being in crisis that it doesn't faze them in the same that it would other people. I think they're just thinking they got to get through the day. And I find that most of the Albany firemen will do anything for anyone. Actually, the cops and the firemen, what I hear them saying is, I feel so bad from everyone else. It's someone's birthday. We're all going to go by and wave to them. So I get the opposite. I'm hearing, what can we do to help people in this situation? I'm getting, they're part of we're part of the solution. We're not part of the problem. A lot of the nurses are telling me, yes, this has helped, people that are, sick or elderly. Yes, it does affect them, but they are saying to me, younger people are having blood clots and it's affecting their eyes. And, someone had to have their feet amputated and they were, in their 40s or 50s. This virus is affecting everybody differently. Right. And the nurses and, the coroners, I'm watching them and listening to them, and I know them all personally. These are not whiners. So when people tell me something, I hear them and they're saying we need to really be mindful of what's going on and appreciative.
People think that because you have the social distancing and the lockdown, how can I help other people? But here you are, a business struggling, and you are still focusing on doing something good for other people. Like, how can people help? How can people help you to help other people?
Well, I mean, it depends on where they are, what they have, they can do anything. It's just caring and staying positive and being nice to each other is something, wouldn't you say? just being kind. I see, and I even go to when I went to the supermarket, which I don't go anywhere. People are acting like they can't even be nice to you anymore. Like everything is just shut down. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? But it doesn't matter what you can do. It's just be kind, and just keep your eyes open. Like Nancy dropping me off cookies. JC Coletti's been making cheesecakes for all the restaurants to keep herself afloat. Gave me a cheesecake. And I've given it out to all these people. Some people couldn't even eat, either, facing cancer treatment and she's like, pay it forward, Tess. And I'm saying, pay it forward. And it's just this really nice thing that we have going on. But like I always say, I'd rather be in Albany in a crisis than anywhere else.
Now, for those people that are watching and are worried about gaining weight, we're talking about all this sugar and all these sweets.
Oh my God, I'm one of those people. I'm going to start chasing my customers in the parking lot to get rid of some of this weight.
We're all going to be working out after.
Some people are working out nonstop. I'm jealous of them.
Well, right. You have to do it at home or just go outside. Right. Tess, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for asking me, and be safe.
Thank you, you too. And thank you for joining me for this interview. Be safe and stay home.